Okay, hello and welcome to this evening stream. So this evening we're going to be doing a bit of game development like we normally would on a Tuesday night, but this time we're actually going to be continuing something that I've started today actually, which is our own submission for the Global Game Jam. So it's quite nice this time because we've gone with the Global Game Jam theme. We've gone with their sort of way of structuring the event. It actually meant we didn't really get any advantage over any of the community because we didn't know the theme ahead of time. We couldn't really do any secret planning, so we've ultimately had the same experience, which has been a really nice exercise for us to sort of jump in and build some games under the same sort of guidelines. One little change is we internally we're trying to stick to quite a short time frame, so obviously we're not interrupting our normal day-to-day stuff. So the games that we're making, we're looking at about 48 hours worth of work. So this is a game that I started earlier today. AJ's been helping me with this game. And yeah, we're just going to basically dive in. We're going to continue a little bit of the development this evening. A lot of the game is there. It's just a case of, what I'll probably focus on this evening is a bit more of the level design and building out the world itself, because you'll see in a moment it is fairly basic. So do let us know in chat if you're taking part in the game jam and how your submissions are going. I'll be really kind of interested to hear what people are working on. Any sort of sneak peeks would be great. And if you haven't already, do make sure you head over to Discord and join in over there and start kind of chatting and sharing. And another great use of Discord will be to gather people for playtesting. So obviously game jams are really important to get frequent playtesting. Today internally, the few of us that are taking part have already had 2 sessions of playtesting our games. So that's just within the first few hours we've already got together and played twice. So it's really important when you're making a game to not just isolate yourself, to get some people in and really start testing, especially when there's multiplayer mechanics involved. It's really important to test those as soon as possible. So do make sure you use the time to do that. Saying that, if anybody has anything they'd like to test while we've got perhaps a group together in chat, then do shout out in chat if you'd like, and then maybe at the end of the stream we can jump in and play any published games. You can always unpublish after, but if you have something that's worth publishing that you'd like to test, then do let me know in chat. And then at the end of the stream, we can have a quick jump in and we'll get some feedback and some play testing done. So yeah, do let me know about that. So let's jump straight in. So what we have is, I've seen quite a few people in Discord actually. I think I've missed a lot of the chat, but it seems to be a bit of a thing about payload games at the moment. And funnily enough, that's the exact game that I'm looking to make here. So essentially going on the theme of duality, we're looking at essentially sorcerers versus knights. It's the whole strength versus sorcery. It kind of works really well with the theme and the current season in Crayta. So essentially, this is a team of sorcerers who are the attackers, attempting to deliver a payload, a magical orb, to the knight's castle and blow the castle up. There's a few more extra little details in there, so I'm just going to hit play and we'll have a little look at what we've got. Essentially this is kind of a payload, but I'm trying to make it into a bit of a hero shooter style. So when the game starts, you get to pick a class, essentially like a style, and each team has different ones. So an archer, barbarian and paladin is a knight, whereas a sorcerer is I think I've got a caster, a druid and a wizard, and they all have their own special abilities. So for example, here we can see that I am a archer. I've kind of spawned with the crossbow, which would be a normal quick firing crossbow. There's an orb here. Then kind of when I'm within the proximity of the orb's going to start moving. There's a little bit of an issue I've got with it sort of jittering around. I think that's because I've got a timeline playing as well as moving it, so I might just remove the timeline. You can see there that I can kind of deliver the orb and it's going to follow a path until it reaches its destination, which is the castle. I'm going to go into photo mode to give it some justice, but this is the castle that AJ's been making today, and it's really, really high detail, really quite cool building. So do make sure you reach out to AJ on Discord and let him know what you think. Any feedback or any kind of praise. But as I say, for someone, AJ does spend as much time in Crayta as he can, but obviously he has a lot of other responsibilities. So actually for him to come up with something like this today in only a matter of probably 3 hours or so, 3 or 4 hours throughout the day. Yeah, really, really impressed. So do make sure you reach out to AJ and let him know what you think. Really cool. I really like the tree. I hadn't noticed this earlier. The tree and courtyard up here has kind of got a bit of a like Rohan, is it? Like Minas Tirith was there's the tree. I'm sure the Lord of the Rings fans will hammer me for that, but yeah, I think that's it's a really cool castle. So essentially, this is what the knights are defending. The sorcerers are attempting to deliver the payload to the castle. I haven't really got anything in the way of like blowing it up or anything, but we can perhaps work on that. Might notice some of these. So I think these are little creators. I think little creators there in chat. So AJ's done a really nice job of actually taking some of the things that were existing packages and kind of twisting them to work with the to work with the theme. So we've kind of, the knights we're looking at here are a bit less kind of old real world medieval and perhaps a little bit more like high fantasy, a lot of like the blue and the gold that you can see in the white clean. So yeah, he's done a really cool job of kind of taking these things and making them sort of fit in the same sort of aesthetic. So we can see the map. The map is sort of like an S shape, and this middle bit, what I'm going to build this into is a sort of like an aqueduct type bridge, with the idea that each of these things are like floating islands that are connected. We come from the forest, go over the bridge to the night side, and we'll play some extra little things floating around, but we've got this illusion of being sort of high up in the clouds. And if we go just under the map, kind of there, we've got quite a lot of fog that around. So what else have I done? Another thing, actually, yeah, so the special abilities. So you can see there in the bottom corner it says press Q to fire explosive bolt. So this is kind of very early progress, but the idea is I can press Q and that's going to arm my explosive bolt. I can fire that, and that kind of is a special one-off ability, and I go back to my normal bolts. And then once the cooldown's done, I can aim again, fire another one. So we've got quite a cool, like, kind of way that we can hopefully have different characters with different abilities. So things like healing, things like, being invulnerable, being able to shield bash and all that sort of stuff. I'm going to hopefully be able to add all that in the next, either in the stream or probably during the day tomorrow. So hopefully by the end of the day tomorrow, we'll have a game we can publish and have some good fun in. That's that. Another thing I've done is I've kind of played with the way that we spawn. A lot of creator games use the stock thing, which is obviously fine. It's a really kind of robust system for respawning and spectating and stuff. I tried something slightly different. So if I fall off the world, die here, I'm actually going to take the player up into a camera and then see that we respawn in X seconds, so we can change our class if we like. And then we get this effect of going straight back down where we're going to spawn and spawning. And it's just a nice way of kind of having a respawn management screen without really ever properly taking you away from the action. You can kind of, when you die, you end up kind of despawning straight away. Coming up into the sky here, you basically get a live action, map of the game. You can see where the orb is. You can see where other players are. You should see all the chaos. Then you're straight back in the action. So yeah, quite an interesting way of, handling the whole of like respawn. I'm going to pop some music on. A little bit of music in the background, but yeah, so do let me know if you have any ideas or any thoughts about the game. I'm always interested, when we do these sort of collaborative sort of live stream sessions. I think it's really cool to get people's ideas. We've basically got 3 games being made. AJ's helping out with all of them, but we've got myself making a game, Stuart's making a game, and Andy Sargent's making a game. And we've all been working together, we're all collaborating, giving ideas, play testing, giving feedback. So I'd like to extend that to the chat, obviously, so if you have any thoughts, any ideas about how the game could come together, then I'd love to hear it. I hope this class choosing feature makes its way into a package after the jam. I think it seems to be fairly flexible, and I guess I can quickly talk through the way I've implemented it. So each character is a different player template. Okay, and that allows you to really easily do some things like, for example, each character has a different speed and a different health kind of set to them. So some of the heavier, tankier classes will have higher health, but obviously move much slower. Some of the other ones, like the archer and the caster, will be much faster but have lower health. And just by having individual templates, just makes it much easier for setting up. I moved the loadout onto the player actually instead of the user. So here I've actually got the default inventory underneath the player. And it was just a little quick change to the inventory script. So here, basically the way reset works is it will pull inventory default script off of whatever entity you've set against the current loadout. If you haven't set a current loadout, then it's just the user, so therefore the user gets where it normally would. But I've just added this little function here where I can basically, on player init, when the player initializes, I say, tell the user that I'm the entity that has the loadout, call reset, and it can get it off the player. So just a little kind of tweak to the way that puts together, but it just means that I can then establish each player having their own loadout. You know, quite a quick, simple way to do that. In terms of the actual character, the selection, that was a little bit more involved. I've got a system here of loadout specs. So for kind of this team 1 can have an archer. This is the template, and then we've got the stats kind of underneath here. It's kind of not the most feasible way to do it. It's a little bit hard coded. And then in the spawn, we have kind of the UI that you can imagine. It's fairly straightforward, and it's just whichever one of these I click, it determines which template it's going to spawn the player against. And then, yeah, a little bit of logic around obviously moving the camera back and forth. But yeah, not a huge amount of changes. So yeah, it should be a fairly straightforward package, or at least a sort of a remixable blueprint type situation. Okay, so as I say, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to get too heavy into the code. Start with at least. I think AJ placed. I'm just going to remove them. I think, yeah, they are templates. So I'm going to remove them for now. Okay, and then let's think about how we're going to define this space. So it's going to basically be like a forest area we start in. I might do like forest grass on the angle, but we probably need to just tidy these edges up a bit, stop them from being so square. So what I'm hoping to achieve is like a sort of effect of the island being floating. This is like the kind of really therapeutic part of the development cycle in Crayta, is the sculpting environment. I hope everybody else is having a good jam so far. Let me know what you've thought about the jam in terms of it being sort of an external jam. You know, obviously we have control over prizes and stuff, but the fact, you know, this is the first time we've done a jam where it's sort of been a different organisation essentially. So let us know what you think about that, you know, whether there's scope for doing more of that style of jam in the future. And also, what do you think about the theme, you know, duality? We obviously we didn't know ahead of time, and when we saw it was duality, it actually fits really nicely with the current season. So yeah, really pleased with that being the theme. But yeah, let us know what you think. It's really versatile. Yes, it's a really good, like, sometimes like a one-word theme can be really tricky, but I think it's actually, yeah, really good one-word theme. Okay, right, so make this as sort of fantasy magic forest as I can, I think. Now, I don't know if I can ask that. I don't know if I can ask that now, as it has nothing to do with what you're doing. But do you think there will be a full boot camp to learning coding as Unit 2 team will grow this year? I mean, it depends. I think if there's enough demand for it. I mean, Andy's just started his workshops, and the first workshop he did was a great success. You know, we were really pleased with how that turned out, and obviously learned a lot. And hopefully everybody who took part really enjoyed it. So, if there's enough demand, I think for a workshop perhaps to be kind of a code series, you know, or at least a few code-based workshops, and I'm sure Andy would be more than happy to put those together. Yeah, you know, if there's enough demand, if it's sort of asked about enough on Discord, I'm sure we could make it happen. If it's not already something that, you know, is in the works, Andy would love to sort of be able to do that sort of stuff for everybody anyway. Yeah, just a little trick. I always talk about this on the stream, but big things like trees, you want to make sure that you set your collision preset to collide with the player only, to just stop the camera getting sort of stuck on it. You know, so it means I can do, like, I know that seems a bit weird to clip the camera through, but that is better than the camera being pushed around back and forth, especially in a sort of shooter environment. So yeah, would recommend making sure that, you know, you kind of control your presets. Collision. Get a few different types of tree here. Bit. Trees can often be quite difficult, I find, to work with, because you sometimes it's like from here I'm like, yeah, it's getting really busy, and as soon as you come down to the ground, there's quite a lot of gaps start to form. But I think, you know, if I can get a decent enough like coverage of shadow, I think that's going to be, yeah, starting to work quite nicely. I want it to be a little bit like darker inside here, and probably have an area where the orb actually spawned, plinth type thing. How many orbs should the sorcerer take the goal? So the idea is it's going to be one. There's just the one payload that you have to try and get to the other end. But yeah, it's not like kind of a number of them. There is just one to deliver. I haven't got any current kind of thoughts on doing like a pushback mechanic. So essentially the sorcerers can push it so far along, and then if there's no one there, it will just stay. Knights can't currently push it back. Or it won't go back automatically. Yeah, that might change with balancing. That might change with how well it kind of performs. But I think that's all kind of part of what I was saying with the playtesting. You know, there's a lot of things you'll learn the first time people play the game. So if you preview it by yourself, you'll get an idea of how it works. But ultimately, you don't really know how well it's going to play until you get enough people through. Little tip for the furs: you can put them middle height underground, so they would look like smaller furs or younger. Yeah, that's true actually. Yeah, I can maybe grab a couple of. Yeah, no, that's a good shout. I'm going to get some bushes and things in as well. Like in Team Fortress, yeah, exactly. Like in Team Fortress, it's the same concept. It's the the classic payload game mode. I want to get the slightly thinner trees up at the front. It's almost like the edge of the forest was starting to break out a little bit more. Jungle tree. Quite like using, the underneath of these jungle trees are really cool, like bits of cover. Okay, so the orb's going to start here somewhere. Enough room to run around, that's good. Looks like I have some trees that I didn't. So you can see there, like, I don't know if it's just me, but I noticed straight away that my camera was being pushed around and it's really quite jarring sometimes, so worth paying attention. Right, so my orb starts. Okay, so let's create a little area for the sit on. We've got the altar. That feels like a perfect thing to start from, right? Cool, right. One thing I want to do first here is I want to turn off the... I have got the orb itself is like a separate mesh, and this has currently got a rotate and move on it. I'm going to remove that to see if it kind of gives me a nicer movement. Because I think before I was getting that to bob up and down as I'm moving the locator parent, and I think that was cool to sort of wobble around a bit. That's that. And then essentially the way it works is just a series of kind of locators that are the checkpoints. That's going to be the first check. So on and so forth. So let's have a little look. That's all connected still. Yeah, so I've currently got the teams swapped around on the wrong sides, which I need to sort out. Obviously, the archers and the knights are spawning on the wrong side over here, but there's the... Okay, cool. Something around here with nasty... I wonder if it's that tree being a little bit too... Cool, okay, so yeah, let's swap those around actually. No, in fact, yeah, no, I think if I just swap the ambi to barbarian team, make these teams. Okay, that should fix that problem. Okay, so more stuff out here. So I really like these brambles. I think they're really cool. Really cool assets. Yeah. They're all high enough. Okay, so the straight line from here goes directly. I loved all the assets from this battle pass. Yeah, no, this has been a really fantastic battle pass. It's been really cool to sort of see the style of games that people are making, and yeah, they can look fantastic. You know, it's a really, really fun one. That being said, I have started seeing some of the assets from the next battle pass, and believe me, you'll be excited about the next one. The next one is cool. I can't say anything more than that, but yeah, no, really, really cool. Right. Okay, so I'm imagining, you know, we would need to have some areas around here to fight. So I'm going to do some like mounds. So the way I've kind of tried to focus this with a balance is sort of having the sorcerers a bit more sort of kind of ranged almost, and the knights. The knights are a bit more melee based, so it's almost like, you know, the knights are going to try and storm the payload and hold it against the sorcerers. So it's kind of a different way to sort of think about how it's balanced. I know these are jungle, but I think they're a really nice way to just add a little bit of, you know, life and vegetation around, just a little pop. painting some of these little craters. A bit more visually interesting ground. Will you use Kovra's shield package? Yeah, that's something I was planning on doing. I was basically hoping to get maybe more for aesthetic than anything, because I think I've got like a couple of the classes which will, you know, have barric like shield abilities almost. So I think it would make sense for them to look like they're holding a shield. A bit like I did in the shooter that I made last, the Battlegrounds free for all game. Kind of a, you know, an aesthetic thing. We're going to do a stream about sky settings for this map. I mean, probably not a dedicated stream. Is there a particular thing you've got in mind about the sky? To be honest, I haven't really spent much time on this sky, but I did end up sort of falling in a, you know, I sort of want this to look like they're floating islands, right? So I've kind of managed to create a bit of a, you know, sky space. But yeah, if you have any particular questions, then feel free to ask that, and I can do my best to answer them. Watching Russ rotate trees, it occurs to me that a package to randomize multiple entities within rotation and position limits would be amazing, in case some genius watching the stream. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I've actually made that sort of script before. When we've made trailers and stuff, there's been plenty of times where, like for example in the Neon Coast trailer that we made, so underwater, all of the vegetation on the seabed basically did that. So rather than having to rotate individual bits, we just had everything in there, and then all the children of a locator would just randomly sort of rotate, and it just meant that, you know, each time you went in, it looked a lot more natural. But yeah, not a hugely difficult package to put together. So yeah, it'd be cool if someone could do that. Sunlight times of day are wonderful, nice, but I can't seem to get it clear. Cheerful fairy tale night sky, black spook. Yeah, well, cheerful fairy tale night sky. Yeah, it looks like Little Crayta did just offer to help you with the night sky, but yeah, I mean, there's lots of different ways, lots of flexibility, especially with the new sky system we've got. So it's really worth paying attention to the atmospheric scattering. Atmospheric thickness, you know, if you try to do different like night times, I find that helps. And then obviously, depending on the time of day you've picked, making sure that, you know, you're adjusting the right light. So whether it's the skylight for the day or the skylight for the night, you know, make sure you're playing with the right things based on what time of day it is. But I'm not sure we're going to keep this time. It's quite bright, quite direct. Everything looks a bit flat. So I want to try and, you know, if we even took, I mean, that's a bit dark, isn't it? Something like that, we've suddenly got these shadows on the floor and it all feels a little bit more 2D. I'd quite like to get some color grading on it as well. Like, I like the idea of it being, you know, something, you know, a bit punchier. Super color is pretty cool one. Orange and teal works quite well. It kind of creates that sort of a little bit flatter. Alien Planet goes a bit mad, so maybe not that far. Warm could work. Not spooky. But yeah, I'm thinking maybe a super color. Right, but it sort of makes it feel a little bit more, I don't know, a bit more fantasy. Kind of works. Although it just sort of spoils the sky dome. I love Unicorn and Alien Planet. So look at Unicorn. Yeah, a bit blue. It does make the sky look quite. Maybe we'll go for this. Say, but if we make the fog. That might work. Okay, there's a bit of a forest there. You know, we've got a bit of areas out here. Let's think about this bit next. So this is like a slightly separate. Oh, that's my main terrain. Separate islands, but I'm kind of going to hopefully make this look like there's sort of big columns sticking out ground, and I'm probably going to add a couple of different like platformy type ways across here with other little floating islands. I thought that might look quite cool. So do I want to add really nice mesh this. I love the way it just slots in so perfectly, like all these little bricks. So good. Not too concerned about the world tree at the moment. I will get it all tidy at some point, but the thing with jamming is, you know, in a game jam you don't want to be spending too long on things that aren't hugely dark. Oh, these don't fit. Adam's ears may burn a little. Yeah, maybe. Maybe he'll be like, come screaming into the chat in a minute and start shouting at me. A lot of this, I'm just making it up. Not gonna lie, I haven't put a huge amount of thought into how this is going to come together, but that's part of the joy of Crayta, is it really is just a fun space to create in. That perfect. I planned that any better myself. My world tree is a disaster. Yeah, I mean I've got some kind of organization here. It's just if you start to look too close, you know, and you expand, you know, one too many things, it gets a bit crazy. Now, is this too wide? I don't know, maybe not. Don't even want to say what's going on. Maybe that's the thing we should do. Is like you know, we should have a Discord name in shame. Like after the jam, everyone has to like post a screenshot of their world tree. We can all feel better about, you know, maybe ours not being the worst. AJ, don't look at my word tree. Okay, right, so in a minute we're going to have a little look at AJ's castle. Very quickly try to count this out to make it sort of even. If it looks close enough, I'll take it. This sort of time of day gives this nice orange glow on the flagstones as well, which looks pretty cool. When I work solo, it's a disaster, but in team, try to be more organised. No, it is good. It's good to be organised. Not by one. It's definitely worth trying to be organised, especially when you are working in. That's a good shout, little creator. First stream back after break. What's the plan here? So this KD is our game jam entry, or at least mine and AJ's. It is a payload game where you have to deliver. Sorcerers are delivering a payload from the forest to the castle. Russ, why not adding like castle door system where both knights and sorcerers could open or close? Castle door system. So do you mean like getting into the castle itself? AJ certainly has leveled up in the building department. I'm really impressed with the castle. Tell you what, it would have taken me a lot longer to come up with something quite as intricate as that. Like on the way of the orb, there would be a door that knights could close to slow down sorcerers, push back the orb, and sorcerers could open it. They could keep going. Oh, okay, so it's almost like roadblocks. The one thing I was thinking that I could do is, yeah, a bit like, rather than roadblocks, but maybe adding like some defences. You know, the knights could perhaps build like little turrets and things. Okay. So, there is some fog. Over the fog. I don't know if it's changed. I don't know if. Okay, yeah, that's the effect I'm going for. Yeah, to sort of make it look like they're sinking down into the distance. You do get a harder line on the horizon. Would have been a perfect candidate for volume stack duplicate. It probably would have been, actually. And had I been paying more attention to what I was doing, yeah, I probably would have seen that was an easy or a better way to do it. Let's add a little bit. Dressing. Visuality, I'm making a team versus team map of sorts. Anyone got music recommendations for a factory game? I mean, there's probably a whole bunch of tracks got added with Mechanical Revolution that would fit quite nice. I love Erode. I just discovered that the Erode tool also relaxes you not just using it. There's just something about sculpting, you know, it's really nice. And another nice little thing you can do is go into the voxel I want to add like ivy. If you do the grow tool on like a really low strength, you can very quickly just ice over. You can see how that's like caught all of the bits that I'd eroded before. A really nice way to just make it look more, broken, sort of decrepit. It catches those edges first. This sort of turned into a painting with Bob Ross sort of. And again, I might want to find like a broken, damaged castle. See there, you can very quickly sort of catch the edges and just make it look, a little bit more properly broken. I think you have to add a happy little cloud now. Yeah, I need to get some sort of smiley bricks. I'm literally, it's just a tiniest little click, swiping past really quickly. You can see straight away how it just makes it look like a little bit more like authentically sort of broken up. I'm not painting, no, I am actually adding voxels back in here. But with a sort of 0.1 strength, it's just really fine brush. And then, in this case, they don't match. It looks a bit weird, but at a distance, looking down here, if I just go. Looking down here, you can quite quickly see that, there's a reason these things. I guess what Ekrot was saying before is actually if I use the voxel volume select tool, I could select these two fire columns, and because I'm using the same voxel material around, it doesn't really matter about duplicating, so I can pull it across. And then I've essentially got a brush that contains both. I'm going to get one, two. And it's just a bit quicker. I could go back and now do the 4, but side. What would you say is the best way to break up the monotony of a lot of repeating texture like you have with that floor there? Yeah, it's a good point. So, I mean, I did it over here with the forest. It was, again, a bit like the painting. It was to 0.1 erode, so just to kind of break the floor up. But it's a lot easier when you've got all these sort of natural grasses and things, and then just placing various things on it, painting various areas, matching things, and we quite quickly make that quite interesting. Yeah, this is quite tricky because it's quite clearly a bit of a repeating pattern. So I think breaking up the imperfections is good. So like here on the corners, just adding that little bit of real world sort of damage. I think to break this up, I'm going to need to place things. I'm going to need to create stuff, but also not from a mindset of like clearing the floor and making the floor not so repetitive, but it's mainly about adding gameplay. You know, I want to add stuff. You know, you want to add stuff for kind of cover. You don't really want, especially when there's like ranged weapons in play, you don't want this sort of huge long space and just having people standing across it shooting each other. So by putting stuff down on here, I think that's a way we can quite quickly break up the floor. Ekrok says, I meant to grab the whole opposite side, would have copied all the broken bits and Ivy stuff too. Yeah, that's true. I could have done that. Yeah, because I guess I'm going to have to go through all of that. So the voxel tools, yeah, really worth. The volume select tool can be really powerful, you know, in the right circumstance. I just quite like using the little, you know, the paintbrush approach. Ivy. Going to top down with a well-maintained castle, so it's a bit more difficult to find the explanation to break up the floor. So one thing you can do, or put in floorboards in, yeah. So if you've got a lot of wood, you know, occasionally it might be nice. Let me just do a quick example here. So we've got the yeah, the wooden floorboards. Let's say something like the walnut. You know, if I had this, obviously that's a fairly big repeating pattern. So occasionally throwing in like, you know, mesh might be pretty good. So just like a, you know, an upturned mesh. Obviously you want to make sure you turn collision off so you're not tripping over it, you know, or doing things like this occasionally, you know, just kind of makes the floor feel a bit more real, especially if you line it up where you might expect something. You know, we've got the driftwood planks that fit as well. Oh, that's what I just used. We've got these sort of planks, so you can kind of occasionally throw these in. You might want to throw got the tavern beams. Got a long tavern beam, so just by, you know, maybe placing one of these in every so often, you know, in a place that might fit, and again making sure you turn collision off so you don't tip on it. You know, it's just a quick way to sort of throw the floor out a little bit. Yeah, that might be something that works. Okay, so we're treating this like a castle wall. What sort of things might we find on here? Maybe add some banners in somewhere. High pillars. It might be fun to have, like, you know, fights across there with ranged weapons. It's a good way to sort of distinguish the sides of the map as well. I got that. What else? Magic castle. So barrels we can use. maybe the center of this. The dragon statue. A huge thanks to Slaying and Little Creator for your packages. Yeah, I sort of showed them off at the start, and it's a really, really cool package, and it's really like nice to see packages used in a way that is sort of remixing something else. Between meshes and voxels. Yeah, I think the big thing with a lot of the balance, again, it comes down to the performance. Like sometimes if you add lots of meshes and sort of visual break it up, you're going to run the risk of overcomplicating the whole. Yeah, you're going to run the risk of sort of overcomplicating the way it all works out, performance wise. Red and green, that's how it works. Yeah, I think a dragon facing the middle here might also make that column. And then a lot of it is just sort of dressing it. Set dressing. The crates we can use. Market would be cool, yeah. Maybe I could add in a market table. As we build out a little, like this could have been like a place that people walked up and down. So yeah, we could have little markets. This is where we can really start to get lost in a lot of the detail. They have a fire up here. Something. There are a few medieval market assets, a great one, with strength and sorcery meshes. I wonder what's in here. We got market. Such strength and bounce pad. Yes, shop. Great. Yeah, if anyone knows any good packages that I can start to throw up here, then yeah, do shout out. Smoke and steam. Oh, this is horrifically messy wood tree now. Where's my effect? Yeah, the effects are really quite cool. There's a really nice way to kind of very quickly add like a lot of life to the scene. Almost finished my game. Cool. So you, KD, we've got time. There's still Sunday midnight GMT. The game jam ends, so there's still plenty of time to working on games. Right, I'll come and address that more another time. So, trying to think of other things. I could do like a huge bonfire type thing. So there could be kind of supposed to be battle-y. What I might do on this side is add like or like battlements, like spikes and things. Yeah, like more of this sort of stuff. It looks like the knights are sort of defending from the side of the bridge. What do you think of adding some sorceress towers or anything and knights towers that would throw buff or disadvantage to keep around? Oh, I like the idea of like changing the way the ground, like movement speeds and stuff. That could be quite a cool like ability. How would I make a curved health bar? So a curved health bar would probably take quite a bit of CSS work. Wouldn't be too straightforward, at least not the way I couldn't think of a way of doing it. Yeah, that might be one. Not really sure how you would go about doing that. Right, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to leave that for now. That's like a rough. I'll take that as a good starting point. I don't want to get too hung up on all the finer details, so I'm going to do a little bit of a sort of some mini islands here to add away, because you don't really want everybody to be forced in one path. It becomes very easy to defend at that point. Sorry. So what I'm going to do is I am going to volume select patch of this, duplicate it out, apply. While I've still got the brush, I'm going to actually extract that. Then I'm going to open the voxel meshes and scream at them. Oh wow. Terrain 52111. Crazy. Right, what is this one? This is terrain underscore forest. Rename. A small forest island. Oh no, get rid of the bots. Not had a bot for a while, must be doing something right. Okay, ignore that message, obviously. Empty lizard is a bot. That might be a stretch. I have these as like stealth bushes that you can hide in. Right, if I add rotate and move to this, I'll be interested to see how much of an effect that has on the Whoa, that was wrong. Okay, that's going to have quite a big effect if I rotate it. I meant to. Move it. I think that's okay now, isn't it? Right. So yeah, I'm going to bounce that script to there. Yeah, let's just have a play. Let's just see what we've got now. Oh, look. False. Here's my pistol. I've only got. Okay, so that works. That's like just an alternative cross there. I mean, this is starting to feel not too wide open. Obviously, there's a lot more I can add to it, but I think that's starting to fit. So what I need to do, actually, I need to move this camera. Pull that down a bit. That's better. Let's do that. Better. Okay, cool. So items, I guess we're going to need to do the same on the side. So I'm going to do brick. Let's just duplicate out this land. Scrap that one. Go and rename it way. This will be Island Nights, I guess. Oh, drink. Drink has 5. Rather than sand grass, what if the sorcerer's ones were like magic floating white stone? Ah, I like thinking. A bit like the hub. White mosaic? That could almost be like a damage pattern. Neon. I want to do this like a bit damaged, mainly because it is sort of in a battle area. Like I get the castle's nice and clean, but we're just going to be fighting around the. I guess these do sort of need something to hide on, perhaps. The other one has the bush. Big pile of magic. I have damaged some bits of the castle. Tiny bits. This bit. Nice. I guess it might make sense to do. Oh, okay, right. So let's have a little run around, and again we'll push the orb around a bit and see what the path looks like now. I need to start tweaking that. And then what I might do is actually do a bit of coding, some more of the abilities. I need to fix this. So I've got a problem at the minute where, yeah, it thinks you're an archer still testing. I want to be a wizard. Currently got a machine gun staff. Oh, orb. Quite jittery actually. Obviously, the more players that are with it, the faster it will get pushed. That's one. Ooh. Camera orb. Okay. That path. There's no smoke. I wonder if I should make the spikes damage you and on. This castle looks great. The parallax that Andy mentioned earlier looks great. Like, you know, having the different depth of towers just makes the whole thing feel huge. Okay, so it's a pretty fun little route so far. So I think that's working nicely. So that one across. So there, cool. You need to think about a kind of a nice looking way. I say that's where you're pushing it to. Yeah, so far. Alright, what else was I going to do? Right, let's do some ability coding. So if anyone has any ideas about the sort of abilities I'd like to see, I'm more than happy to hear them. Currently got, let's see, what have I got? I've got I'll go to my user actually, that'd be the best way to see. I'll load out specs. I've got an archer which has that explosive bolt, barbarian which will do the shield bash, which will basically blow all the enemies away from you. That'll be a good way for, you know, if the barbarian can get to the payload and basically knock everyone away. That'd be good. Speed boost for the paladin. So this is an defender who can basically charge and get to the payload quicker to attack. Then we've got the attackers, so the caster that can overcharge and basically get double damage on their wand to kill any oncoming defenders. Barricade, so a druid who can basically become invincible for a short period. So that's someone who can basically just, you know, hunker down on the payload and keep moving. And then a wizard who can heal allies. So the idea is, you know, a wizard and a druid could combo together quite nicely to heal up. So yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I really like the Palette in the Clouds idea. It makes me wonder who is the good side or who's the evil side. I guess it depends on whose side I'm on. Yeah, I guess there's an element of like good versus. Kind of leans into the whole duality. You know, we've got forest versus grandeur. And I think, you know, the idea of duality. You know, in this case, it is the two opposite sides of the battle. An attack and defense, you know, from a gameplay point of view, you know, you're never defending as a sorcerer. You know, it's always sorcerers versus knights, attackers versus defenders. Makes things a bit right. So I want to do the barbarian ability. So now I missed a trick here. I didn't make all of these player templates as a sort of sub template of the main one, so I'm having to do this for each individual one. Throwing potion that splashed on the ground, any knight walking on it would be stuck for a few seconds. Yeah, and I wonder if there's like a stun ability I could do. You know, do something that stuns everything. That could be quite cool. Player ability. So this is my general ability script that every player is going to get. And here's this is barbarian, so I've added custom script as well. So player ability barbarian. Potion could summon the purple vines to trap them. Yeah, so a big thing I need to do is kind of make sure all the skills are very visual, so it's clear what's happening. So like when you're being healed by a healer, you want to know that, you know, we can use the particle effects for that and stuff. Right, so custom script. Wouldn't be a Tuesday stream if there wasn't some coding. So we'll have a function in here. This will be the function that triggers blast. Shield blast. So how do I want to do this? Basically, I guess I want to go through every user in the game, determine which team they're on, and if they're on the enemy team, then I'm going to get their player and launch them in a direction away from myself. So it should be straightforward. So what we want to do is a blast strength, base blast strength, because I guess the further away you are from the source, the less you should get blasted. So this will be strength of the blast. Default that to like 1,000. Okay, shield blast will get world each user. Really useful function. So it's essentially just going to iterate through every user world and get. Firstly, we'll get script problem team. So we're going to get the team of the this player, and for get the users team with the person we're checking. Going to get their user, get their player, not playback speed, get their player, not playback speed, player. And let's first check that they've got a player and it's alive. So if player and valid and player alive. So we only want to get a player if they've actually got one, because again, don't forget, a user exists at all times. That's the person in the chair, that's me. The player is the character on the screen, so there's a good chance that the player could be dead for this person we're checking. They're not existed, they're on that spawn screen. So if we try and then get the position of that player, it's going to throw an error. So it's always worth guarding against those being kind of invalid, or in the middle of spawning, or maybe even alive. In this case, I don't really want to be blasting away a body, although the way I do this is when a player dies, they're going to instantly kind of go into that despawn animation, so it should be okay. But it's always worth having these guards in place. Or a blast for radius, so it's only going to affect players within a certain radius. Say 5 meters. So units in Crayta are centimeters, so 500 there would be 5 meters. Let me just to test a lot of this stuff. I think I'm going to fire up my Stadia to have a player in the game. Okay, so if my player get the distance to the player. Okay, so simple bit of vector maths. Let's get our position minus their position. In fact, what we can do is vector dot distance. So if you want to know the distance between 2 points, you can just use a helper function here. So vector dot distance, and pass the 2 vectors in. Subtracting 2 vectors from each other also gives you, well, it gives you the line between them, and then you get the length of that line. Really powerful, really helpful stuff. Vector maths can be very confusing at first, but it's worth exploring online tutorials, and Andy's done an amazing series on vector math actually, which you can find over on YouTube. Yeah, so do make sure you check that out if you are interested in game programming. Vector maths, very important, very easy to understand at face value, and actually very powerful once you do get it. You can do a lot of really cool stuff with it. Cool. So distance to player, if distance to player is less than or equal my blast radius. So basically, if they're within the radius, then they're going to get blasted. What do we want to do? We want to work out which direction to blast them. So this is where a bit more vector maths will come in. So direction will be our position minus player position. Okay, but what we're going to do is we're going to, and this is all going to get a bit confused, we're going to normalize this, okay? And by normalize it, I basically want to set like a unit value. So I don't want to say, you know, the closer you are, also the further away you are, you shouldn't get blasted more because you're further away. So the direction and the distance, you can kind of work out a unit of and then multiply. That's confusing, but yeah, Andy just shared a link. So yeah, if you do want to learn more about vector maths and stuff, then yeah, definitely go check that out. And there's a lot of resources online, really helpful. A lot of YouTube tutorials. You know, if you just search around vector maths, definitely worth exploring. Okay, so I've got my direction here as a unit value, so I know which direction blast them. Might have to flip this around because I want to blast them away from me. So my local directions. And now I need to work out a vector in which to blast them by. Okay, so we know the distance actually. We had that before. So what we could do is have strength is equal to self dot property base blast strength times distance. Okay, no, closer you are, the less you'll get blasted. I'll work that out in a minute. A long day, my brain's not working. But what I want to do basically at this point is just is launch the player. So my launch vector is going to be direction times my self dot property blast strength. So I've got my direction as a unit value. I'm going to multiply that by a strength. Okay. Then it's a simple case of saying player that we got launch, and we're going to launch them on that vector. Right, let me see. Stadia over here, so I've got a player to play against. Okay, so that let's assume that's going to work. That's all set up properly. Then what I need to do is set that up as the ability pool. Bash. 10-second cooldown, just testing, and my prompt will be shield blast and shield blast, and then I'm just going to add a cooldown in here. I need to think of a better way, or you know, do a better way, probably tomorrow, of actually showing when you've got a ability on kind of cooldown and stuff. At the minute, it just appears in the prompt. You know, again, with game jams, it's always worth really trying to get to that minimum viable product sooner rather than later, and then doing all the polish bits. So there's probably going to be a few things around the class selection and stuff that are a little bit, you know, not quite perfect. But yeah, you know, for a game blast, for a 48-hour game blast, I think. And I got my roller pairs. Bear with me 1 second. Welcome amongst yourself. One sec. I've got another controller. I'm going to see if that one will work. There. Seems that my controllers have unpaired, so that's going to be a pain. But never mind. I think, to be honest, what I'll probably do, maybe join from my phone. How about that? Yeah, so I'm just going to test this one, and then we're probably going to look to wrap the stream up. So if anyone did have a game that you've been working on that you want to test in, then feel free to shout out in Discord. It's going to be a really good place to find people to play test with. I mean, I hope everybody's been having a pretty fun game jam so far. I know I've really enjoyed just having the chance today to just really dive into an idea I've been mulling over. In the meantime, while I'm waiting for that second player to load up, let's fix a few weapon things I know are going on. So, for example, the ranged staff probably shouldn't behave like an assault rifle. That's not quite right. And I also want to fight my Stadia. Okay, so damage 200, heat time 0.2. I don't want to hold it like a rifle. That's part of the problem. I'm trying to think of a way to get the staff to be a ranged weapon. Actually, it's a bit tricky. Maybe there's a better. I could fire it like an RPG. Work. Be interesting. Maybe it's like a projectile launch staff. Maybe that's the line to go down. Like an RPG staff. Right. Probably talk myself out of that one when I think about it. Okay, right, so other players on the way in, so we'll test this ability. That's worked, and then we look to call that a day. So I put in here. Oh, no, okay, now they're on the way. I think we managed to get a good sized map here as well, and that's a big part of it, is especially with like a shooter, is really trying to make sure the map's not too big or too small. So I think hopefully this is going to feel like a nice decent size for a good fight. For a lobby space, that's going to be quite important actually. Okay, right, Barbarian. Oh, I spawned on the... Oh no, I spawned on the right side. Okay, yeah. I think I want to have some floating stones around them, but castles to give it a magical feel, yeah? Yeah, and they're really easy to set up. Just that rotate and move script will work quite nicely. Good to know the slow barbarian. There. But why are we both stalls? That's going to be a problem. Effect. Oh, I pulled it towards me. Okay. So it sort of worked, but it pulled towards me. So there's a couple of little things I need to do. I guess first will be a blast effect. Play, so Affected location. I want to play location. Zero rotation, and the effect going to property. Smoke ring burst. I think that's what I'll use. And then in the code, so this is where I was saying before, it's either going to pull me or push me. So it looks like the direction I need to flip things. So I need to subtract their position. That should get me basically the flip of that. I'm going to up the strength to 5,000. All the way over. I'm really pleased with how that camera sort of motion turned out. It was something that I've wanted to try for a little while actually, and I think it, it just makes the spawning just feel that little bit. I suspect it's what I'm doing with the spawning though is broken the scoreboard, so I need to do that. Okay, shield blast. Ah, cool. So it is blasting them. It is sort of blasting them across the floor, and that's why they're yidding, I think. There we go. So if you can kind of crouch and get underneath them. So I think if I just add a bit of a Z buffer and probably lower it a bit, in theory I could shield blast. Shield blast if I get a crouch, blast them up slightly into straight onto the bridge, of course. Of course, that's what happened. Okay, let's add a little bit to that. So launch direction plus vector. Vector. Just 50 up. Calculate that first, then we times it by the strength. Add big stones floating and some rotating around towers. Add some small stones around the big ones. Yeah, having that sort of like kind of orbital effect of them. Can you please give the shield a shield? The barbarian a shield? Yes. Yeah, I'm going to use Kovra's shield package to do what I did for Battlegrounds and add it so they're actually holding a shield, and generally it just look a lot nicer. Huge big shield. I won't be able to do any sort of like attack with it, but I think, at least look like they're holding a shield, which makes sense. Okay. Let's put us in the right team this time. Whoa. Oh, haha. I'm not checking about blasting myself. So because it's put us on the right teams that time. Okay. I need to check that the user we're checking is not equal to ourselves. So we don't want to be blasting ourselves. normal time. If it doesn't work, I'm going to leave it. I'm going to sort of tidy it up a little bit off stream, but as I say, we're coming towards the end of the stream. But hopefully people have enjoyed this sort of style of stream. It's just, you know, a few tips and tricks here. Also, don't want to be blasting other nights. Yeah, so it should be checking to only do it to people on the other team. But just put it on the sorceress. I guess this is what happened when you build a game in a day. Yeah, I'm really pleased actually with where this is going. You know, given that it was pretty much a blank slate this morning, to be here now is pretty cool. Blast. Hey, there we go. Is there an offhand shield equip for like inventory? There's nothing built in. I did a stream a little while ago, a couple of weeks ago, which made use of the package. I think Hover's done a really good job. If you install it on the weapon left socket on the left hand, he's done a really good job of positioning the shield in a way that looks really good. Russ, please add the sorcerer's house from the hub, but burned only cinders of it. Okay. Oh, I just like nuked him through the floor. Yeah, that's not good. Good blast. Ooh, one hit kill with the halberd. That's probably a bit strong. It works, you know, so this works nicely. So if I just jump off the map here and move around with this character, so you can see there, you can see the Russ D moving around. So it gives you like a really nice perspective of like a battle map almost. While you're picking, you can see the state of play. Yeah, so I really do quite like that. Right, okay, well that's probably a good point in which to wrap this stream up. So thank you everybody for joining in. It's been a really fun stream actually, really nice to just back on an idea. And hopefully people have picked up some tips, some tricks. I know I've kind of, you know, as I say, really enjoyed it. So if you want more of this sort of content, then obviously always let us know down in the comments or over on Discord. You know, the Tuesday streams are kind of sometimes quite technical, quite specific, but sometimes, you know, to just be building a game is always pretty fun. So again, thank you to everybody for tuning in. As I hope you've enjoyed what we've been doing there. So as always, make sure you do follow and subscribe to the live stream channels on Twitch and on YouTube, depending on where you are. You know, as I say, as always, let us know in the comments what sort of content you want to see and whether you like the stream, and thumbs up, all that sort of stuff. You can also find us on on Twitter and Instagram at Crayta Game on both of those platforms. So lots to learn over there. And then finally, do make sure you head over to Discord and join us there. So that's discord.gg/Crayta. You know, that's a really good place to kind of chat with the community, chat with the devs, keep up to date with all the latest goings on, all the announcements, get help for various stuff, learn more tips and tricks. Andy's been doing his workshops, so we'll be doing more of those in the future. So if you are interested in learning more in this sort of style, but you know, as a big group, you know, learning specific ways to play in Crayta, then do make sure you join Discord and keep out for Andy's workshops. AJ is going to be back tomorrow, and instead of a play along, AJ is going to be back doing some creation. So we're actually going to be doing another creation stream tomorrow. As I say, AJ is quite heavily involved in the games that we're making. And he's going to be joined by Andy Sargent. I'm not entirely sure what they're going to be doing, but do make sure you tune in tomorrow at the same time, 7 p.m. GMT, across YouTube and Twitch, to watch and learn more. You know, maybe there'll be a lot of learning to be had and a lot of input you can have on the games that they'll be looking at. So as I say, thank you very much for joining in, and I will see you in the stream tomorrow.
You're gonna go ahead of me, yeah? Go.
All right.
Oh no. Stop.
They say this game is too easy. I'm not sure we're playing the same game here.
Oh, I got a star. Yes. I'm now in the lead. Okay. What do you mean I was killed? I think maybe we should have to combine chairs and tables. This is gonna be too hard. Oh no, my chair! No! Not the chair! Come back, friend. Well...
No,
Oh no.
Oh.
Iceland!
Wait, why am I
No!
talking?
What? What happened to my tower? What happened to my tower? Oh no, go back, go back, go back.
Everyone get into position.
Get into the... Yeah, this is funny.
Okay, is everyone ready?
Yeah,
Okay. I'll put it in general chat.
nice.
It's a great photo.
No!
I know there will be. Oh my god, what is that behind us? Oh, it's just
It's
another
me!
chair. That's you!
It's just me! So you know I'm really scared. I'm really...
He's coming back.
I really... Oh.
He's like, I don't like that.
Apparently I've got to go first. I don't want to go first. Okay, well let Hisakan go a bit further. And then... Oh no, here we go, he's waiting for me. If something... Oh, it's horrible in the first position. This is so creepy. I know so it's gonna be like forever, and then suddenly it's gonna.
I know.
Ah! No, I don't like it.
What?
There's noises of children. I'm actually sweating. I'm like sweating.
It's actually really good, like the way they use lighting and everything.
The atmosphere is really good. Ah! Ah! Oh, mother of... No! No! You didn't see! You didn't... You didn't see me change! Look at all my cute little friends. Do they go to where I was and then sort of... Is that how it works? Oh, wait, they are my friends.
What? What happened? Where did he come from? Hisokan, are you okay? Wait, go closer to what? Oh, to the... Why is there a plane landing right here? Who the hell is that? Who was that? Vilva, what are you doing?